All right, quick quiz. What's the first thing that people see related to your YouTube video? The thumbnail, right. You looked at my title, didn't you? Oh well, you passed the quiz anyway. So that's the 3 things we're going to talk about today. How to make a good first impression with your thumbnail, and we all know first impressions are extremely important. Number 2, inexpensive tools to use to make those thumbnails. Is free inexpensive? Oh well, free's good enough. And 3, how to make it quickly and easily. Making your thumbnails quickly and easily so that you can make that good first impression. So, if that's what you want to find out, stay with us. We're coming up straight ahead. All right, so let's go through some principles of thumbnails. Number 1, we want our thumbnail to be eye-catching. But we want it to be eye-catching in a way that relates to our video. There's nothing that discourages YouTubers more quickly than a clickbait thumbnail that leads them to a video that doesn't have anything to do with the thumbnail. So we need our thumbnail to be click-worthy, not clickbait. Okay, text. We should make our text stand out. And how do we make it stand out? Well, it should be short. There's not a lot of room in a little thumbnail for text that people can read. It should be large text because when you shrink that down to a tiny thumbnail size, it's got to be readable. And not just for you, but everybody who reads it. Everybody has different eyesight. Some people get by on a little less than perfect eyesight. Everybody needs to be able to read your thumbnail. And you may put background shapes, or shapes is what Canva calls it. Backgrounds behind your video, like dark with light text, or the other way around. Okay, number 3, use colors that work together. How do you find colors that work together? Well, some people use color wheels. Some people have a good understanding of that if they're into design and that sort of thing. I just heard somebody suggest a good shortcut, and I think it might work quite well, and that's to look at the colors and uniforms and logos of sports teams. Now, don't look at the old legacy ones that have had their uniforms and colors for, 50, 60 years. But look at some of those that have updated recently. They do a lot of research to figure out what colors work together, what things are pleasing to our eye. So don't just choose your favorite team, but something that's pleasing to the eye. All right, what else? Number 4, get your photo. Your photo needs to be a large photo because we need all of the detail in it. And it needs to be focused on a fairly narrow view. If you're taking a picture of yourself, for instance, you need a fairly close-up picture of you, because by the time you shrink it down, if you've got a large picture, your entire body and a whole bunch of scenery behind, you're not going to know who it is, what it is, that sort of thing. So large and focused on a fairly narrow subject. All right, and number 5, editing the photo. We do a slight bit of sharpening and adding some saturation. Just a little bit, a few percentage points, and we'll show you how to do that later. But sharpening, and it may not even look that great, the full-sized image, but when you shrink it down to a thumbnail, it's gonna look great that way. And it's been shown that we're attracted to pictures when they're that small, that are sharpened and a little more saturated in the color. Okay, so let's talk now about getting the photos. There's a couple ways of getting photos. One way is to use a still from your video, and that can work. You have to stop it in just the right place so that you have a reasonable facial expression, or if you've got crazy in your title like this video does, maybe a crazy look is okay, but you don't want to embarrass yourself. That's one way to do it. You don't have near as much control. The way I like to do it, and I do it with something very simple. You could do it with a nice digital SLR camera, but I just do it with my phone. I sit down and do a little selfie picture shoot, get 10 or 12 or 15 or 20 pictures related to something that I'm trying to do against a background, maybe this, and you'll see that in a minute. That's what I did for this thumbnail that I'm going to use for this video, and it's what we're going to go over here in a minute. So that's what I do. Really simple. I just use a little flexible tripod, set the camera on 3 seconds, and then just hit it and get back in my pose, take a bunch of pictures. Really easy. Find a good one that I like, that seems to work with the thumbnail that I'm trying to make for the video I'm making, and that's the way I get my pictures. Okay, let's move on to making our thumbnails with Canva. So this is what canva.com looks like, and it's completely free. You do have to sign up for an account, but it's completely free. There are add-ons that you can pay for if you want to. Everything I use in Canva, I do for free. I'm not saying I won't run into something someday that I'm willing to pay for, but at this point, I do it for free. So you sign up for an account, and then you can come to this page right here. This is their first page. Now it is available in apps on both Android and iOS. I have used those, they work fine, but I encourage you to start with your computer first, if you can at all possible. It's a lot harder to find things once you've figured it out, and then if you want to do it on your phone later on, no problem. I do that sometimes too. I usually then come back to the computer and refine things because there are some little things that are just harder to do, but the apps are also free. So everything we're using here is free, and I think you're going to like the results. All right, so what we're going to do, I'm just going to run through making a thumbnail. Now I've already made it once just to practice it so that I can show you fairly quickly and efficiently here, but it really didn't take me that long the first time either, just so that I'm not stumbling through it. Okay, so click on Create a Design, and then rather than choosing something in here, I just choose Custom Dimensions, and then you put a width and a height in here. Now the standard 16:9 width is 1920 by 1080. But if we use something that large, YouTube's not going to accept it. So use something with the same ratio, and I can tell you what I use. I use 640 by 320. I'm sorry, by 360. Now that's the 16:9 ratio. In other words, 16 high, or 16 wide and 9 high. Okay, so create new design. It gives us our little canvas here to work on. Or at least it will once we get there. Okay. All right, now the first thing we're going to do is to select a picture. So either you have already uploaded things and you can look at them here by clicking on Upload, or you can upload an image that you've taken before. Now, this is the picture that I uploaded for using, so I've already got it in here, but all it is uploading, going to your files and choosing which file you want in here. Okay, so there's your picture. I make it considerably larger than my canvas here. You see the white, slightly whiter outline, the gray. That's your canvas there. All right, make it quite a bit larger, both width and height. And the reason I do that is because when I move it around later on, you don't want to make it too much larger or none of your picture is there, but when I move that around later on, I don't want to run into my borders and have it not covering everything, okay? Sorry about the goofy picture, but like I say, I did have crazy in the headline. And if you make it a little too large, like I think I did here, you can always shrink it down a little bit. And okay, perfect. We'll put it like that, but we may want to move it later as we put on text and that sort of thing. We may find that we want to move it later. Okay, so now let's go ahead and put what we call an element here. And these are shapes. There's shapes and we'll get to some other elements. Most of them are free. Some of them you might have to pay for if you want to, but I can always find something free that, and either in the shapes or the recently used here. Let's just go to shapes, like I haven't used any of these before. Okay, now there's some squares. I'm going to use a square. I'll make it a rectangle, but there's one that I like that has some rounded corners. That may have been it there. Okay, so we're just going to use that. All right, we're going to put that in here. Way too large and way too square. And not the color I want. Now, if you use those corners, it stays the same, just same ratios. If you use the sides, you can widen it out. All right, now I have decided that my title on the picture is going to be Easy Thumbnails. I'm going to put easy in this box, okay? So we want to add some text. Actually, I know I'm going to have 4 boxes, so let's just go ahead and put the 4 on there. This will make it a little faster. You may not have all of this planned out, and that's fine. Sometimes I think I have it all planned out, and I change it as I go. And I'm putting each individual word just because I like the way it looks, but you could put each individual word in a box, but you could put your words, you could put several words in a box. Okay, and then that's going to be thumbnail, so I know that's a little longer. And then let's put another one. This is for crazy. So it doesn't need to be quite as long, and we'll fix them later if they're not quite the right. They won't be, I can tell you, and this is for views. All right. So we got those 4 boxes there. Now let's do some text. So let's just say we're going to add a subheading here. And we just want it to say, where did my text go? Make it a little wider so I can highlight it. Easy. All right, now I don't need it to be that wide now that I've got easy in there. And then let's move it up and just put it on that box, roughly where we want it. Okay, we'll work on colors in a minute, but let's get all the text in there first. Let's add another subheading. And this one is going to say thumbnails. Now, I usually just use the default, whatever font it goes to, just because it's usually a good readable font. And to me, that's the important thing, not that it looks exactly like I want it, but you do what you would like to do. Make it look great. To you, a perfect looking font may be the only thing that makes it look good, makes it pop to you. I want this bold. Let's say I want to put it in italics. That doesn't make this font hard to read, just makes it a little more interesting. I don't think I did that on regular thumbnail. So you'll see this one will look a little different. And you don't have to make them all the same, you can make them different as well. I see a lot of that. But I'll make them all the same just for the fun of doing that. Okay, now I have and I'm going to look it up here, I have a font color that works with my, two of them actually, that work with my logo here, this Automated Wealth Creation. I keep the information so that I can do that. So two of these I'm going to make my green color. So I copy that. And click on the text color here. Now if I want to use a custom color, you can use one of these, and you may not be using a logo, whatever you want to do, you can make them different colors. Sometimes my logo makes things a little limiting for me, but I still like to use it because it's kind of my branding. All right, and paste that in there, and there's my color. Okay, now I'm going to make the background on this. Now I need to click on the box. Actually, I need to unhighlight the text and then click on the box. Outside of that text box, you see that I've got the box behind, and I don't have the information on my text up here. I've just got a color. So I'm going to use the dark gray for this one. Make it a little darker so that my text stands out a little bit. All right. In fact, no, let's just leave it at dark gray. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing with this one. All right, with crazy. I'm going to go every other one. And I'll do these at the same time so that I can use my paste again without having to copy. Paste that in, and those two are green. And let's unhighlight the text, highlight the box, and change it to that dark gray. Okay, now let's go and copy my blue text. Hopefully it's stayed close by there so I don't have to search for it. Very good. Copy that. And then let's make thumbnails. The blue. Paste that in, that's blue. Now you see that stands out even less on the light gray, so I'm actually going to make the background on this one black. Now that stands out really well. Probably should make them both black because I need that to stand out, but I like some variation in it, so call me crazy. And I look kind of crazy there too, don't I? All right, and then we need to go down to views, and we need to highlight it and make it the blue color as well. Now you could probably save these colors in here someplace and make that happen a little more quickly. I have not even figured out how to do that. Doesn't matter, we're just doing this quick and dirty here, just trying to get it all done quickly. All right, so now let's unhighlight the views, get the box there, and make it black as well. Okay, now we can resize these boxes so that they fit the text a little better. It would probably look a little nicer. I'm not going to spend that much time because you know how to do that. Let me do it once here just so that you can see. Make this box fit the text just right. I've seen people put the text not quite on the box, but it stands out that way. That works too. If it doesn't line up quite right, what's highlighted will move So see, I can move my box that way if you want very precise movements in the end. And then this right here is for rotating it. Okay? Now before we rotate that, let's do something else. Let's unhighlight the box. Now let's make a box just around it. You don't even have to go all the way around. And then let's make those into a group, now that we've got it the size that we want, let's say. And now I can change the size of it. And I can rotate both at the same time, and they rotate the right amount. Okay, so say I just want to, make that tip that way a little bit. And then let's make this one a group too, just because that's so much easier to do them both at once. And make sure you don't get more than one thing in. You don't want all of those grouped. And let's tip this one the other way. Just slightly though. And then let's move the whole thing up. And let's say I want the easy on the top. I can position here and go backwards with this one, and then that's on the top. Okay, so now I can move those together. Now, if you should ever need to change the text, like I just had thumbnail and I wanted it to be thumbnails, when I was doing my first one, you can click on that and you can ungroup them again. I don't have any need to do it at this point, but you can do that. I'm going to do one more thing since we're talking about, I was going to move that back too. I'm going to do one more thing since we're talking about YouTube. In the elements here, there's more than just the shapes. I'm going to type in YouTube. Well, I'm going to try to type in YouTube. And do that search, and we're going to get some YouTube button-like things. So let's go ahead and put this in between here. A little bit large, a lot large. Okay. Now we don't want to cover up our text, so that's still a little bit large. It's okay if it overlaps a little bit. I can rotate it. I can move it backwards if I want to, and it just moves it one at a time. Say I want it over one and under the other, like that did there, whatever you want to do. Let's do one more thing to it. And I'm just doing this to show you. I don't know that it's going to change the looks of it, and that may not be exactly how you want it, but it's not bad, so we're going to leave it at that. I'm going to do one more element. I'm going to go back to shapes. If it'll let me, back to shapes, and I'm just going to use this big square here. I'm actually going to make it even bigger. I'll rotate it first, but then I'm going to make it even bigger than that. Okay, I'm going to put this over here. Okay, looks great, right? Not yet. Let's change the position. We're going to move it backwards in relation to all those things. So we're going to hit the backwards button a lot of times here. Okay? And that's still not all we want to do with it. And this is the reason I showed you this. It's got to be highlighted and just it. I want to show you transparency. So we can make that just sort of a gray but slightly transparent look there. Okay? So there's our gray little box there, just to add some more interest or whatever. It doesn't look spectacular here, but I used it in mine. I'll show you the other one that I did that I spent just a little more time on. but you see how easy that is. And then all you have to do is publish it. It defaults to a PNG file, which I would recommend. Let's just go ahead and do it. It's not something I'm going to keep. Download it. It downloads then to your computer. I'll go ahead and download it just for the fun of it so that you can see how quickly that happens, etc. All right, so that's all there is to making a thumbnail. You see how quickly you can make a fairly decent looking thumbnail, and if you spend a little more time with that, let me go back and show you the one that I made that you may have clicked on to get to this video, but just in case you got here some other way, here's my folders of all my designs. So it's still generating that one, but here's my one that I did. I also put my logo there. You can see my transparent image there. Hides some of the stuff in the background, just made it look better as far as I was concerned. Okay, so that's how you make a thumbnail. Pretty simple process, and yet that really pops out. It's going to be easy to read when it's a small thumbnail-sized picture. You can see some of my others that they were easy to read, not difficult to figure out what they're talking about. Jumps out at you. You can see that they're sharp. Oh, that's one. Did I show you how to sharpen it? I don't think I did. This one has already been sharpened, but let me show you what you do to sharpen the image. That's important. That was something we talked about. Okay, so when you've got this selected here, and it would be the first thing that comes up if you've just brought that up, but select the picture in the background and click on Adjust here. And you see that I've put just a little bit of saturation in, and then a little bit of, not blur because I went in the minus direction. That's what sharpens it there. So minus on the blur, plus on the saturation to get that little sharpen. And if you look closely at that, you can see way too much detail in my face, but it's going to be fine in a small image. In fact, it's going to pop out. People are going to notice that it's a sharpened image, that it looks good. Okay, just some final thoughts. This is a new skill probably that you've just learned, but it is going to make a difference in the number of views that you get. So don't get discouraged as you do this. You're going to learn as you go. It's going to be hard the first time. I said it's going to be quick and easy, and it will be, but it may not be the first time. You may struggle with a few things. Your first one may not look great, but it's going to be better than anything you've done before, I'm sure, unless you're already applying these techniques. You will improve as you practice. You will also improve as you see more and more examples, and you're going to see more. And you're going to improve as you learn new skills. Everything I add seems to make things just look a little more professional to me. So again, don't get discouraged. I hope this has been helpful for you. If you've liked it, if it's been good information, definitely hit the like button. Comments, give me some comments. Questions, I do try to respond to your questions. So if you have questions, put them down there in the comments section. I've left some links for some things like my 4-day course on affiliate marketing that teaches you how to the important steps in selling other people's products on the internet. If that's the niche you're in, check that out. It's free, good information. Otherwise, until the next video, we'll see you then.